on under New York City.
Police say they dug a secret tunnel into the sanctuary of the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters in Brooklyn.
The men described by police as extremist students are accused of digging the tunnel so that they would be able to have access to the sanctuary after hours. And when a cement truck was brought in to fill that tunnel, the men stood in the tunnel, refusing to leave.
The group of men have been arrested. The synagogue is closed now pending investigation.
Bothers everyone, this whole community. There's not a single person that doesn't bother him right now that it's closed.
Some reports said that the secret passage led to a space under the women's bath used for rituals. Other reports claim that the tunnel was built during lockdown, while others claim that the tunnel was part of an illegal expansion attempt. None of these claims have been confirmed yet. The leadership condemned their action.
Synagogue leaders describe the group as extremist students seeking unauthorized access to the building by breaking walls.
But what do you think about these secret tunnels, and what were they used for?
Under Central Park in New York City, there is rumors of this place called Wonderland. And they talk about children in cages down there, humans in cages, as a food source for some type of reptilian entity. Now, Central Park has this statue of Alice in Wonderland with the white rabbit. And the white rabbit is a representation for the adrenochrome molecule, which stops the telomeres in the DNA from withering. It literally halts aging. So we see this symbolism all throughout Hollywood. And as these elites are harvesting that adrenochrome molecule, these entities that they're working with are feeding on the loosh, L-O-O-S-H energy, loosh energy, that lower vibrational frequency. We have these tunnels running all throughout America, and it's tied to the ancient bloodline of Cain. There's tunnels out west, guys, that go from California down to Mexico, into South America, all the way down to Antarctica. Ancient tunnels. They got whole cities down here. They're not just in America. They're running under the oceans, connecting to the UK, connecting to Africa, connecting to Russia. I mean, it's a whole nother world. As above, so below. They have these trains down there that hover, and they're powered up by this blue energy, which we've seen in Godzilla vs. Kong. They can travel from California to Tokyo in like an hour. And they also showed that blue energy in the 2009 Visitors V. Remember, they had the blue energy in that as well, where these reptilians came to take over the world. They like to show us the truth in these movies. It's lesser magic, predictive programming. And in Godzilla vs. Kong, where was this advanced technology? It was on sub-level 33. In the Scottish Rite, a 33rd degree is the highest level you can go. And this is where you find out that you're really worshiping Lucifer. You know, and in these underground tunnels, there's rumors of many entities, the Nephilim, which is the offspring of the fallen angels, these reptilians that use us as a food source. They say these entities are experimenting on us and working with soldiers that were in World War II over in Germany that you're not allowed to mention their name or you get in trouble. And remember Operation Jade Helm, where they shut down all the Walmarts, guys, and surrounded the Walmarts with fences? We've seen them bringing in all this military equipment. And you got to remember, in Empire, they worked 25, 30 years ahead, planning ahead of events. So when they were shutting down the Walmarts, there was rumors that they were building these underground FEMA death camps. And I believe it to be true. I think they definitely were. They're planning on a thermonuclear war, Armageddon, treat underground with these entities that have possessed them. I mean, they got whole submarines down there. They got, Air Force base down there, everything. And this is a shadow breakaway civilization that is so much further advanced than anything we got on the surface level. And they plan on taking us out in this little thermonuclear war. They've been working with these entities since the 40s, maybe even way before that, but as far as our government been involved in it since after the Babylon workings, when Jack Parsons opened that portal, that's when they started showing up. But these deep underground bases have been around thousands and thousands of years, some of them, the most ancient ones. Now, I believe it's very similar to demonic possession. It's like when you stare into the abyss for too long, the abyss stares back at you. So they're working with these entities, and there's been rumors that they're actually doing human sacrifices because that's the way they could get these entities to come. Look into the Collins elite. And when they were doing these human sacrifices, these entities would give them advanced technology. But it seems like they hate humanity, and they've been told that they will be able to rule over this artificial reality that they're creating, trying to trap us within a matrix, In 1934, in the Los Angeles newspaper, they were talking about these lizard people in these underground catacombs that retreated underground due to some astrological event that was taking place, meteors or asteroids, and they went down there where eventually they were killed by some gas, it said, allegedly, right? But our government is working with these entities, and they're not aliens. They're not from the Draco star system. They're interdimensional. They're fallen angelic beings. And what they want to do is murder humanity. Right now, the present breathable atmosphere is at 18%. And by 2029, it's supposed to have suffocated us. We're going through a massive asphyxiation ritual. Hashtag I can't breathe, the whole corona thing. And in these deep underground bases, they say there's this race of Nephilim. And the one word you're not allowed to say down there is Jesus. There's many different accounts on this. Check this out.
Sandeo was working as a secret agent for the FBI in Australia inside of the deep underground military bases. And he said while he was in the program, he knew about the deal with Eisenhower. He knew in the program that President Eisenhower had made a deal with what they called alien entities.
That Eisenhower met with aliens, alien entities, and made some sort of arrangement with them?
I believe that the evidence points to two events taking place, and these two events happened 1 year apart. The first one happened at Edwards Air Force Base, where Eisenhower disappears, and they call it a media blackout. It was kind of similar to when Hillary Clinton and President Obama disappeared and were at the Bilderberg meeting, but nobody knew where they were, and it was called a media blackout. People freaked out, right? Well, something similar happened here, where Eisenhower is no longer on radar, and they come back later and say, oh, well, he had a dental emergency, and so he had to go seek private dental care. Now, that happened, and then a year later, we have the Holloman Air Force Base event. Now, the thing about the Holloman event was that people were there who witnessed it. Holloman is where they were out on the landing strip, and you had UFOs landing, meeting with him. Meeting took place with Eisenhower and others, and then those UFOs took off. They're decorated men from the government, and they're now speaking out that yes, UFOs were landing and taking off at Holloman Air Force Base, and I believe it was 1955.
Wow.
I don't have the month right now.
So 1955. And then the Babylon working was what year?
Late 40s.
Okay, so
now that happened.
A correlation in the two events?
Well, we do know that things began to be more apparent after Babylon working, and therefore there were more things taking place where there was people seeking the entities. So what I believe happened was that the rift was open, the tear in the space-time continuum, if you will, a portal, Stargate was opened, and the government got involved. The feds got involved. Once they began to communicate with the entities, there was now a relationship being built, and it was no longer shock value that there are these entities who want to work with us.
So when Jack Parsons carried out that Babylon workings, this is where they opened a portal to the other dimension, and that's when the aliens started showing up. He did that in 1946. 1947, Roswell happens. Jack Parsons was Crowley's protege. And remember, Crowley manifested this demon lamb.
Entities who want to work with us. So I think that was definitely an open door, no pun intended, for those entities to now be communicating with President Eisenhower years later, not too many years later, but a few years later, about this Eisenhower deal. See, what I had heard and researched was a little different than what Darren had picked up in his research. And apparently there were two events that happened, and a lot of people blur them. A lot of people will mix it up with the Edwards Air Force Base and the Holloman. They're two separate events a year apart. That's so important. But the idea is that the gray aliens on record met with Eisenhower, and then you had this other group of entities known as like the Tall Whites or the Nordics. They met with Eisenhower separately, and they warned him. They said, you do not ever want to make a deal with the gray aliens. They are deceptive. They are very deceptive. All they want to do is deceive you and enslave you.
Wow.
They're demonic, basically. I don't think they use the word demonic, right? Because they're all demonic. But they were warning Eisenhower never to enter into a covenant with the Greys. Well, they were the good guys. The Greys were the bad guys. This is fascinating because if you fast forward into this idea of a coming deception, they had to already set the groundwork to create a good alien, bad alien. Wow. Good cop, bad cop.
And that actually kind of fits along with the New Age belief of the Galactic Federation of Light.
Right. That's a demon. Yeah. That's an entity who wants to deceive you. Sure. They want to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That's biblical. And we're also told as Christians, we got to be vigilant and we got to be sober-minded because Satan is our adversary. Part of the angels fell with Satan. And you can do your math and figure out that equals somewhere between 30 to 50 plus million fallen angels on the surface of the earth. Now, out of that, some of them were put in chains. The Bible tells us this because the ones that committed sexual sin, the Genesis 6, they have been locked up in chains. We can read about this in Jude. But the ones that are not locked in chains, just think about it, 30 to 50 plus million fallen angels on the face of the earth. I made the comment recently in an interview I did that is more than the population of the largest state in America.
They are setting up for the final great deception.
This guy, Greg Renrich, worked in the base with entities that called themselves the Nephilim. They were 9-10 feet tall entities, and they told him that they were preparing for an intergalactic war with God and that they were going to win. They believed they were going to win. Furthermore, Greg Renrich is on record saying that he had to sign an affidavit before he could go in this facility, that he wouldn't even use the name Jesus, even as a cuss word, in this deep underground military base. And this goes right back to what Joe Jordan says, is that hundreds of cases of alien abduction completely halted at the name of Jesus being proclaimed.
So you can't even say the name of Jesus in these deep underground military bases.
No, and I don't know about all of them, but the one that Greg Renrich, the various bases that Renrich worked in with his clearance, at least one of those bases, he had to sign an affidavit that he would not